up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with the few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. They're driving theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
What's up, everybody? It is Monday night. It is April 3rd, 2023. You are tuned into the Drive-In Speaker Box, the best in movies, reviews, and news, and whatever else that we decide to talk about from the chat room over here on the corner of your screen. But I'm your host, Bo, the boom operator.
I'm Slick Doggy, the grip.
And we've got another show. We're going to, guess what? We're here. We're going to do that thing that we do every week. We just got... we wrapped up with the pre-show over on Twitch. If you guys are tuning in on another platform, be it Spotify in the future or Facebook Live or YouTube Live, you can always join us early on Twitch for some of that fun, extra, get-to-know-you fireside chats that we do. So, hey, shout-outs to Tyler jumping in on YouTube over there. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. This week... was not a big, it was. Dungeons & Dragons came out, but we saw it like 2 weeks early, and we talked about it and really enjoyed it. So there wasn't a whole lot of new releases in theaters for us to check out, but Jake saw...
There was like 5 Indian movies, but instead of watching one of those...
Thank God.
No way, man. Hey, actually, I got... one of our local Indian restaurants said that they would host our podcast if we want to talk about Indian movies.
Here we go. All right, we'll do special editions.
Yeah, Kana Indian
6-hour
said that
episodes.
they would host us. But I watched instead Spinning Gold.
Yeah, the movie about Casablanca Records.
Yeah, Casablanca Records and the founder. It's more so about the founder, Neil Bogart, and we'll talk more about it later. But I saw it. We had it at a theater here, and it has all the bands that we talk about on this show.
Yeah, it does.
It featured Kiss very prominently, so... Yeah, I was there. I watched that one, and I'll talk to you about that a little later on.
So he caught that one, and then I caught up on 2 films that had just come out, one on VOD and one on Apple Plus TV, whatever they call it. It was the Tetris movie, and I also saw Pinball, the man who saved the game, and 2 very, video game inspired movies, but not necessarily video game movies. They're more historical. Which I thought was kind of a fun double feature for me that night, and I'm going to be talking about those later in the show as well. But I'm gonna take my medicine here, and we're going to jump into some news. Like, what happened over the last week?
Well, Vince said he needs reviews for all 5 Indian movies. I do have plans for later in the week, trying to catch at least one of them. If any of them are still in the theater, come next weekend, I'm going to try and watch one of them too, because several of them had very good trailers. But unfortunately, I work a couple nights a week in addition to my days. So it's hard for me to hit the theater during the week, but I do have plans to. I'd already thought about doing that.
Heck yeah, dude. So many things to see.
But news,
yeah. One of the things, in trailer news, it's not like news, but 2 trailers that dropped this week. I mean, obviously the Blue Beetle trailer, which just dropped at the beginning of our freaking feed. Which was
out like an hour before.
Well, yeah,
1 or 2
I'm
hours.
just saying,
yeah.
it's just...
Oh, it was on the
It
ad.
was on our ad here at the Drive-In Speaker Box Twitch. But, what is DC doing?
I don't know. I mean, I guess they're trying to use George Lopez to save themselves.
And the kid from Cobra Kai seems like a pretty competent choice because he's the right age.
Yeah.
And he's popular right now online.
Because how old is he? He's like 20, 21. Jaime Reyes is supposed to be younger, but the hard part about casting young is like they did in Shazam, where they get old, and then it's like, what happened?
Well, I forget the kid's name that was in Cobra Kai, but he, does martial arts, and he, I know, I can't remember, just drew a blank. He's an up-and-comer.
We've talked about him before.
Give me that up-and-comer emote over in the Twitch, guys. And Tyler over on YouTube, he says, did anyone else think that the Blue Beetle trailer looked like a TV show? Absolutely. It all is starting to look like TV shows right now. It's Spider-Man mixed with Iron Man mixed with like
Spider-Man's already mixed with Iron Man in the MCU because
that's
they
right.
made him Iron Spider from day one. And this also, speaking of day one, Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle means nothing without Ted Kord Blue Beetle. You need real Blue Beetle for Jaime Reyes Blue
handoff.
Beetle to matter, and they're skipping right to what, third or fourth Blue Beetle? Jaime Reyes is like, fourth, maybe fifth Blue Beetle.
Well, and they're not even setting up like a Young Justice thing, because I mean, Blue Beetle and Young Justice was pretty dope, and they skipped straight to Jaime Reyes, but not without establishing, you know, frame of reference of how he got there.
Yeah, I mean, Velvet Santa said Bruce Campbell could play Ted Kord. I mean, unless they do like an Ant-Man situation where they're like, oh, by the way, this is the original Blue Beetle, and you'll never get to see anything about him ever.
I bet they will. And it'll be some dumbass cameo.
Stupid. I hate that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know what DC is trying to do here. I don't know what all these video game or not comic book company movie things, cinematic universes. Like, let's just pump the brakes on it for a minute. You know, I think we need to slow down. We need to assess and go, do we need all of these comic book movies right now? Like, let's just back off.
Xolo Maridueña. There you go.
Great. I'm loving that name for me to not pronounce correctly. But thank you.
Xolo. There you go.
Xolo.
Wow, don't do that.
Yeah, you only live once, or show only. Whatever. DC is literally throwing everything at the wall, says Velvet Santa on Twitch. And
But is Blue Beetle part of new DC, or is this?
Oh no, it's gonna be new DC.
A final last DC.
I mean, what if they are gonna try and attempt Young Justice?
Or is it a mix like John Cena's thing, where it's both new and old DC?
Who knows? I don't know. I don't know what they think. I honestly just stick to watching the animated DC. That's it. Or put some of those in theaters. They're badass. But also another trailer that dropped, which I don't know. I have really mixed feelings about Wes Anderson. And I love some of his movies, and I appreciate... Hey, Zimmerhammer, thanks for the sub over on Twitch, man. I love some of his movies, a lot of his movies, but it's just the sameness, and it's getting to be a bigger version of the sameness. And his new trailer for Asteroid City dropped this week, and I'm gonna see it. It looks cool, it looks fun, but it looks like a bunch of A-list celebrities that are always in his movies playing like wooden doll versions of 1950s, like, you know, pasteled, composed postcard shots, which is what he does, and he does it so well. But I want him to do something a little bit different, and I don't know, man.
I'll let you watch that one. I don't watch Wes Anderson movies.
What?
No one hates me for that. They're too... I don't know.
You didn't like Isle of Dogs?
I never watched it.
You would love it.
You reviewed it on the show.
You would love it.
Maybe.
No, not a maybe.
I don't know.
Guaranteed.
I don't like Wes Anderson. He's like pop art, bubblegum type stuff. And
you would love Isle of Dogs. And you would probably also love Fantastic Mr. Fox. And
watched
you
parts
would
of that
probably like Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yeah, that one I might.
You would probably
that
like
one has
Rushmore.
Maggie Smith, right?
Yeah.
And Voldemort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rushmore, of course, classic. You'd love Rushmore.
I've seen it.
See, you've seen that? It's good.
I mean, I have to watch them to know that I don't like them.
No. I mean, they're all pretty good.
Velvet Santa says Congo also looks good on paper. Well, you know what? Congo is good. Congo, good.
Oh my God.
You ever see that movie?
Yes.
Congo's sick.
Congo is actually a pretty good movie. But Wes Anderson, I don't know. Like, I feel like, how many times can you do the same thing with the same people?
I didn't see a single one of the Owens in it, though.
Well, I mean, it's literally everyone else, and they'll probably be in there in some capacity.
It just pops in. Wow, and we go on.
Yeah. Well, and he's the alien in the movie. He comes down and goes, "Wow, Earth."
Or Wilson, yeah, like Owen Wilson comes in. He comes in and he goes, "Wow," and then Luke goes, "Huh?" And then you're just like, you get both their catchphrases.
And then they
Yeah.
beam off. I don't know. I'm gonna see it, but I don't know, man. It's just weird. It's comfort food at this point. I don't know. I love Wes Anderson, but just wish it was something different.
I know that one of our viewers and Discord members, Dina, got very excited about it.
About Asteroid City?
Yeah.
Take me down to the Asteroid City where the script is bland and the colors are pretty. Yeah, there we go. What did you have any other news there that you?
Yeah, man. So not exactly movie related, but it is a breeding ground for giant stars, and it's important to entertainment in general. It was announced same time as WrestleMania's happenings this past weekend that WWE is looking like it's going to be bought by the Endeavor Group, which is the parent company of UFC. And they will be combining WWE and UFC into a single publicly traded combat sports company.
What does that even mean?
It means that wrestling and UFC will be one and the same. Same company, same everything.
But that seems like a really bad idea.
Maybe so, but that's what's going to happen. Also, did you see the ad for this thing that Matthew McConaughey is hosting in 2 weeks? Like it's a feel-good seminar thing that's free to attend online, like a virtual seminar, but it's limited seating. And it's like him and Tony Robbins and a couple other
And Tony Robbins?
motivational speakers just like telling you that COVID was hard, but you got it. And
Now we know you might have not gotten vaxxed, but...
it's called Art of Living. No G. Just like we say it. Art of Living. Livin.
Apostrophe?
There is. Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah.
All right. We know you're going to get alive. You're going to take a chance on life. You're going to just don't be sitting there in your chair. You got to get up and seize the day.
Yeah. Something like that. But if you love McConaughey, right now, register,
He's
man.
everybody's
Save your
favorite
spot.
greasy angel.
It takes place on the 24th at 11 Central.
Okay.
So it's in the middle of the day, earlier elsewhere, but still middle of the week, middle of the day. So those people that don't have anything to do during the
You
day,
can get hyped up.
you can watch McConaughey
By
and Tony
McConaughey.
Robbins and the football player tell you that you can do it.
McConaughey.
But talking about wrestling, you see that The Rock announced that there is going to be a Moana live action remake already. This is real, and Bob Iger shared it. The Rock posted it from Hawaii, and Bob Iger shared it. And so,
Where are we?
Dwayne Johnson and the girl that did the main character's voice, that's a name that I'm not going to try and do. Ali, I think. They are both going to be back in the live action version.
Why do we
Whether
even
they're
do animated stuff? Like,
whether
if we're
they're
just
going
going to
to
cast
play-
the same fucking people.
Well, whether they're
And-
going to play their characters or not is not been said. But they'll be in it at least somewhere.
Well,
it
I mean-
might be like in the Uncharted movie where you have the voice of Nathan Drake on the beach and he goes, "Hey!" And you're like, "Hey, that was Nathan Drake for real." And then you get back to having Tom Holland as Nathan Drake. You're like, "I hate this. I hate everything about this."
That reminds me of the news that God, my brain just went completely blank. The movie where he fights the
milking?
ex-boyfriends. No, yeah, he's
Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim, yeah, Scott Pilgrim.
There's
Saves the
a
World,
new animated.
featuring the voices of the people that were in the live action, and I think that's okay. I don't like going the other way.
If they can voice act, because acting and voice acting are very different.
Different, yeah.
Yeah.
But in our modern world, just look at the Mario Brother movie. You know, they're like, well, let's see. How did you find your Mario? And he goes, it's just me doing me voices.
Yeah, but last week, and I think I said something about it, but there was an article where they had Chris Pratt, and he can do like a pretty good Mario voice. And they're like, yeah, don't do that. So it's like that's how he got the role, but they're like, now don't do that.
Well, they don't want us because it's harder to sell as, oh, well, this is a guy you know, and this is a, actors and actresses that you know being these characters that you think you know, and we're just going to double whammy sell you this stuff because you're paying for celebrity and not for quality performances. I just have a really hard time with that shit. Yeah. Let's see. Vince says the Twitch comments aren't coming up on your screen.
That's true.
But YouTube and Facebook are. That is very odd. Jake says things.
Yeah, well, I'm almost out of news, so that's some bad timing there. The only other bit of news that I really had is that they announced that Indiana Jones 5 will make its debut at Cannes. And I guess they're going to do some sort of Harrison Ford tribute featurette type thing. I just hope that when they show this, that Harrison Ford is just the grumpiest dude in the world and hates every part of people being like, man, Harrison Ford's cool. And then he just hates every bit of it.
Harrison Ford hates everything.
He does. He really does. You ever see that skit on SNL with old dude, the guy that plays Barry?
The Barry dude?
Yeah, that's his name. He does like this old man on the news deal. That's Harrison Ford. Just the grumpiest character ever.
You got to keep saying stuff.
Oh man, why? Why did we have to run out of things?
I never run out of stuff.
Well, I mean, there's only so much that happened in the movies this last week, right?
I'm doing technical support right
Bill
now.
Hader, there we go. Thanks, Johnny Dalton, helping out, figuring it out for me. Ridley Scott's Napoleon got a release date. That's a thing, and it's starring Joaquin Phoenix. Is he Napoleon? Seems like he's way too big to be Napoleon. We fixed it.
I fixed it. Okay, there we go. All right, Twitch comments are coming back. I started sweating there for a little. Look at this glistening forehead, like stressing out over technical support. I'm gonna have to have some alert now.
Have to.
I do. It's gotta calm the nerves. It's a lot of pressure when technical things happen. And
how much do they pay you?
Who? Jepson's?
Yeah, the fine people at
the fine people
Jepson's Chicago.
At Jepson's Malort. Produced and bottled by CH Distillery, Chicago, Illinois. I'm actually going to visit the distillery this week.
I bet you are.
I want to do a barrel pick of Jepson's bourbon and have my own private label Jepson's bourbon. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out next week on the Drive-In Speaker Box. Yeah, there we go. All right, now that we're let's see. Vince on Twitch says, "You guys missed my seminar comment. I love my audience. They keep getting older, but I still charge them the same price."
Well, it's free. It's totally free. So if you want to get advice from McConaughey and others, totally free.
You're done. Okay, well, it's time for us to talk about movies that are coming out in theaters this weekend because new releases always come out every week. And this week is kind of a weird week because April 5th, which is a Wednesday, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Today's the third Wednesday.
They are releasing the Super Mario Brothers movie to get extra dollars. They want that bigger, look at this opening weekend that we added 2.5 days to. That is coming out. That's coming out this weekend. You can check it out. Honestly, as far as video game movies are concerned, I think the two that I watched this week are probably going to be better than this one. I don't have high hopes for the Super Mario Brothers movie. Just because, yeah, as Velvet Santa said on Twitch, Captain Lou Albano is my Super Mario.
One old Martinette's mine, so
there you go. And it's not, neither of them are in this movie. But also coming out in a little bit more of an expanded release, Air, which is that was playing here, I want to say, at our Malco, I believe.
I didn't see it listed.
I thought it was just like a small early release. But it follows the history of a shoe salesman, how he led Nike through the pursuit of greatness in the history of Michael Jordan's shoes, the Air Jordans. So that one's coming out. And then also coming out this week, the Pope's Exorcist, which looks terrible. It's Russell Crowe in a movie that he's in, and you can check that out. And it's just like Exorcism 101, the movie, but this time the exorcist gets possessed. And what would happen if, and I don't know, and here's the thing is, generally biblical horror movies creep me out the most, because people really believe in that shit, and that's kind of weird, but this movie doesn't look interesting at all. But the another movie coming, I think straight to streaming, I can't remember what platform, is the Owen Wilson film where he's Bob Ross, but not.
It's supposed to be in theaters.
Is it supposed to be in theaters?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I thought it was going to be one of those streaming onlys. It's called Paint, and it's Owen Wilson is not Bob Ross. He's playing a character named Carl Nargle, and who's Vermont's #1 public television painter. And it's a comedy, obviously, written and directed by Britt McAdams, and it looks very Owen Wilson-y. It looks funny. I mean, it's Owen Wilson doing what Owen Wilson does best, and
I mean, that one looks good to me.
It does.
I would much rather watch that one than the Ex-Popercist.
That's
what Tyler said.
Popercist.
Yeah. I mean, the trailer for the Pope's Exorcist looks so dumb, and it's just overly complicated, because it's like there's a possession, and they bring in like the exorcist until it is like the Pope's special exorcist, and then they're like, oh, we were just doing this to trap you because we want to take you, and then like the Pope is like weird handing his face and stuff. It's why.
Because horror sells, and it's easy, it's cheap, and people will go see it. They'll spend like $15 million on this movie. It'll make 40, and they'll go, we did it.
It just seems like SNL did a skit better like a couple weeks ago with Jenna Ortega on there, where she was like possessed, and then the upstairs neighbor came down and was like, no, ain't happening in my apartment building. I'm trying to sleep. Y'all are going to stop this right now. Like, it's pretty funny. I think it's like basically the same plot, and they did it a little bit better. Dude, Vince, I used to be a SNL diehard, man. Like, original Saturday Night Live.
You watch way more than I do. I have not watched an episode of SNL.
I had like a cassette of Dan Aykroyd's best, and like the Steve Martin's
favorite
best,
Dan Aykroyd character on SNL.
Dude, Two Wild and Crazy Guys, bro.
Okay, mine was the
guy that put the Bassomatic guy.
No, well, the guy that sold the terrible toys to kids.
Yeah, the Halloween costumes.
Yeah,
where
it's like, bag of glass. Yeah,
Yeah, he's like, it's all black costume. They walking the streets, can't see him. It's Invisible Man. Yeah, that one's the best. That one's pretty good. Yeah, so I like stuff like that. I liked when Eddie Murphy and everyone was on there, like 90s with Sandler and Farley and
David Spade.
Yeah.
You know what's weird is I feel like there was a period of time where I thought David Spade was the lamest person on the planet.
Dude, he's so funny.
And now when I see modern David Spade, I'm like, that dude's hilarious. And
dude, his stand-up is really funny.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, why did I think that David Spade sucked?
That's like Norm Macdonald and Kevin Nealon are both really funny to me.
Yeah, what David Spade's hilarious, and
it's probably just because you watch the movies, man.
Maybe that's what it was.
His stand-up and like his skits are really good.
Man, I was like, dang, he's very, very funny guy.
Yeah, and I liked the Will Ferrell era. Yeah.
I didn't watch a lot of that era, but
that's good.
Velvet Santa says David Spade has a really good podcast with Dana Carvey. Okay, I did not know that.
Oh yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Mike Myers and Dana Carvey.
Well, and I think it was watching Dana Carvey movies. You don't realize how funny Dana Carvey actually is, because then you see things like Master of Disguise, and you're like, okay, I don't want to watch.
He made that for his kids.
Yeah, but I mean, look at what it did. Look at the lasting legacy.
If you watch Wayne's World for Garth is the funniest part of those movies for sure.
Oh, for sure. But anyway, that's what's coming out in theaters this week. You can check those out in your local theaters. Check your local listings. Sometimes, depending on where you are, you'll get different things. I mean, we get a lot more limited release movies than I think we have any business having, which makes our show better. So we're thankful for it.
Just, be happy that they're here.
Yeah, I was just like in Dallas last weekend looking at movie listings, and they didn't get half the crap we get. But of course, it's just nothing but Cheesecake Factories and Chewies out there. So.
Turns out we're getting both of them.
We're not getting a Cheesecake Factory. That was just an internet meme. That was an April Fool's prank.
I see.
But also, that restaurant's terrible. Let's see. What else do we got going on? Well, let's just jump into some movie reviews. Let's start with I'll do one, and then you'll do one.
Okay.
And then I'll do one, and then you'll do the box office.
Back and forth. Forever. Yeah. Okay.
I'll say one review, then you say one review. I'll start with Pinball, The Man Who Saved the Game. This movie, again, very, very small.
Forever. Can you see it?
Here, put it on the upper cam. That one's a little more white balanced. Got to back off. Let it focus. Pull it back. There it is.
There it is.
Back and forth. Forever.
Forever. If you know.
Tyler on YouTube said D&D was a lot of fun, by the way. We told you. It was a really great time. I predict Bo's second review is 2 minutes. We shall see. I'm gonna try and give 10 minutes per. 8 minutes per. Anyway, Pinball, The Man Who Saved the Game, is written and directed by Austin Bragg and Meredith Bragg. It does involve, and man, I was making a point to bring the book. I actually have the book that the guy that's in this movie is making in the movie. I didn't realize it, but I have the book on the shelf, and I could have brought it as a visual aid because that book is like now selling on eBay for like $400 and $500. I couldn't even believe it. Anyway, it is about this guy. His name is Roger Sharp, and Roger Sharp was this journalist. He worked in publications, in marketing, but he was a big pinball fan. And what a lot of people, what his claim to fame was back in the 70s, and what a lot of people don't realize, and this is something that is very near and dear to my heart because pinball is a part of how I make a living. Was illegal for many, many years in many, many cities, including Chicago, where most all of pinball in the world was made. And it was mostly associated with mob activity and money laundering and gambling. And so in New York, it was banned. In L.A., it was banned. Like that movie Licorice Pizza took place around the time where they lifted the ban. Like what happened in this movie was what happened in Licorice Pizza. Like this was, people don't realize the interesting history that pinball has because it's not a freaking kids game. It never has been. So please stop asking me to bring your kids to Pinpoint because it's not for kids. Anyway, so this guy, he kind of got involved through trying to publish this book because he fell in love with pinball and he worked for GQ and he was writing articles for GQ, then started trying to publish this book about pinball and all the different people that created pinball, and then just realized like how unfair it was that this was just outlawed in so many places. And then it kind of goes into the history of Mayor LaGuardia in New York, who kind of had this whole thing about banning pinball and just unfairly because he just needed to win in the city and blah blah blah. And it covers a lot of really interesting history, and it's not really, the movie is not necessarily about pinball. It's about the relationship that this guy has trying to overcome this weird piece of legislation that no one really knew about, and even less people were invested in what it really meant. And so he fights this, and it's a very famous it goes to federal or Supreme Court, something or another, where he plays pinball in front of these people and proves that it is a game of skill and not a game of chance, which is what so many of these bands were based on.
Well, if you're not good at it, it's definitely a game of chance.
Well, but that's the thing, is you can get good at it and can be better in it and get skilled at it. But it surprised me at how well made this movie was for being kind of a lower budget independent film. Dennis, what's his name? Dennis Boutsikaris. You've seen him in some stuff. He's like this older guy, always plays that guy. He was kind of the narrator, the older version of Roger Sharp, who is still alive and, worked and was executive producer on this movie. And I just found this movie a lot more engaging and entertaining for not just a person that would be a pinball fan, but anybody. It was really about this guy's relationship with this love interest that he was finding and starting new and finding passion in a weird, quirky way, and pinball, just this weird history that nobody knows about. And I think more people need to see this because it is a really interesting piece of Americana, because pinball is exclusively American. It's not one of these things like the next movie I'm going to talk about after Jake reviews one, where Tetris, where it's kind of like, a Russian
invasion, yeah.
And then with a Japanese company where video games, all Japan. Well, pinball is like Chicago AF, like it is America. And but because of laws and legislations banning it in so many places, it got swept under the rug, and the kind of like American pride behind this game died because it was illegal in so many places. And really interesting. I think it's a lot of fun. Great performances by a lot of people you don't see very often, which is kind of nice that it didn't have just this monster star power. There were a couple of bit characters here and there from people you've seen all the time, like Michael Kostroff, who always plays the same angry butthole. He was in it. And Vince said over on Twitch, he goes, "Yep, I'm not super into the pinball world, but I know it's Chicago AF, because this is where it originated, like Williams Pinball and Bally and Stern, like they were all from Chicago." Anyway, I recommend this movie. I think it's a fun watch. You don't have to be a fan. It's not very video game centric. It's not even very pinball centric. It's just a very interesting story about something that happened in time, and they did a pretty good job with it. So, has it been adopted internationally at all? Asks Zimmerhammer on Twitch. Yes and no. Like, pinball is big in Europe, and it is, in Japan, pachinko is kind of the thing there.
Yeah, but Sega makes a lot of pinball machines, or they
did. They got their hand in it a little bit, but it was mostly all in the United States, and they're very hard to make and very complex machines, and shipping them they're big and they're heavy, so freighting them is not really as economically viable as a vending machine or an arcade unit would be. But they're starting to get bigger. They're the first non-American pinball company is not even that old. It's in the past decade, and it's Dutch. But there's been a couple. There was like an Italian pinball company. I think it was Zaccaria. They made a couple. I'm not going to bore you with the history of pinball, but again, it's predominantly United States. So anyway, Pinball: The Man Who Saved the Game. Pretty interesting watch. I dug it. If it comes on streaming, I don't know if I would pay the $12.99 to watch it on Amazon, but if it hits a streaming service, definitely watch it. So there you go. All right, Jake, you're up.
Well, yeah. Hey, keeping that whole popular in the 70s theme going, I watched Spinning Gold, the tale of the music biopic of Neil Bogart, and his founding, creation, and trials of Casablanca Records, with the caveat, as told by his family.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So it was directed, second unit directed, written, produced by his family, and some others, but a member of his family was involved in every bit of the big part of it. And there was people with the name Bogart showing up in the cast and things like that too. And now they do open this movie with a scene where he runs into a black church with a choir singing, and he opens up a briefcase with money and starts handing it to the preacher or the choir leader, and then he's singing with them and dancing, and everyone's just super into it. And then it cuts to the format that they're going to tell the story, which is him in his office telling the story of himself and the record company.
That's weird, because that's exactly how the pinball movie went.
Really?
It was the older version of himself there telling the story of himself.
Yeah, so that's exactly how it frames it. And he goes, that's not exactly how it happened. That's how people tell the story, but they weren't in there singing when I showed up. It wasn't like that. I didn't really dance and sing with them. but I could have, and he's like, here's how it really happened. But he goes, the story I'm about to tell you, every part of it's true, even the parts that aren't. And that kind of frames this entire movie, because just like every other music biopic that's ever been made, wildly untruthful, right?
Yes.
There are some true-ish events and people and things in there, but for the most part, they combine people. There is a lot of anachronisms where things don't exactly line up the way they were supposed to. And unfortunately in this, to generate some drama for the movie, because they're like, yeah, my dad like slept around and had 2 families and was like a coke addict or whatever, but whatever, dude, so to generate the drama, since they act like that's just sex, drugs, and rock and roll, what they did is they made it seem, when they got to Donna Summer and focused on her quite a bit.
It was Giorgio Moroder.
Yes.
In there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So when they get to Donna Summer and her work with Giorgio Moroder,
yes,
they act as if it's unsuccessful for like 2 years before they realize how to market
that it's a masterpiece.
Market her, but that's not how it happened. So, but the movie opens up with Kiss. And it's Neil Bogart.
Detroit Rock City?
No, he has Kiss play the launch of Casablanca Records.
Was later.
It's them playing the launch party of Casablanca Records, and everyone just being like, these guys suck, it'll never work, the pyrotechnics just ruined the whole party. And he's like, but I could see it. And so the whole movie is about how he can envision people's stardom, be it Kiss, be it Donna Summer. He can see where Parliament Funkadelic is headed. And you get to see his experiences with people like them and Gladys Knight and the Isley Brothers. You don't get to see things like the Four Tops or his time with like Captain and Tennille or some of the others like that. But you do get to see a lot of the big ones and the ones that Casablanca helped launch, and like Kiss helped them launch and they helped Kiss launch. So you do get a lot of focus on Kiss. Same thing with Donna Summer, where they got like some of their biggest success and things like that. And it did have like some pretty good actors in here. The main guy is played by Jeremy Jordan. He's in a lot of DC stuff, TV shows. He's in Supergirl and Flash and everything like that.
I saw that Michael Ian Black was listed in the credits. And
he plays Kiss manager Bill Aucoin.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so he plays Kiss's manager. And
I met him once. He's a really hilarious dude.
Really?
And a really nice guy.
So, well, unlike that, in the movie, they kind of make him a goof, and they make Gene and Paul total buttholes. I'm like, they nailed it.
Yeah,
but now,
I was about to say, this seems accurate.
Going
into
this movie, it's not like a visual masterpiece. Don't expect that. But what it is it's auditory, and it's very good at the music, because that's kind of the whole point of it. All of the actors that they have in place that do singing and dancing and stuff are the ones doing it. So like the guys they cast as Gene and Paul. And,
so is it a musical?
Peter, it's kind of.
Okay.
There's some musical numbers in it. It's very much like it was meant to be a stage play and got turned to a movie. It feels like a stage play.
Well, that's not a good selling point for me.
No, I know it's not, but hear me out, okay? The guys that like play Kiss
could have been extra lame, so instead we made it kind of lame.
The guys that play Kiss don't look anything like Kiss, but they're the real ones singing. Every actor they have is the one.
So they're okay.
Singing.
Okay.
So like the girl that plays Donna Summer doesn't look anything like her. They have Wiz Khalifa as George Clinton, but you can put a big enough wig on someone and make them look like George Clinton, right?
I'm sold on Wiz Khalifa as George Clinton.
And Jason Derulo plays Ron Isley, and this guy named
that's also kind of cool.
Yeah, this guy named like Pink Sweats. Is that what his name is?
Yeah,
yes. All right. He does Bill
Withers.
And so the thing is, all of them are singing the parts. And Kiss's makeup is never right, because clearly they didn't have the rights to it. And part of it might be they had these people singing the song so that they could like skirt copyright things or something like that. But they all do a really, really good job.
Okay.
And at the end of it, they have like a song that's an amalgamation of all of the stars that you've seen with them.
It's super group.
Yeah, it's like Donna Summer, and it has like Kiss lyrics, and it has Marauder beats, and it has like Bill Withers, like
being Bill Withers.
Smooth. Yeah, I mean, it's all there, and it's pretty good. It has terrible green screen effects through it. Every now and then they just do this slow motion lighter thing way too often. And there's one part, there's a concert, and they start with someone on stage, and they zoom out, and you see the whole big CGI audience. And then when they cut back to it, what they do to take up runtime and make the scene a little longer, they like zoom in a little bit more, but you can tell it's just the scene they did played in reverse.
Oh, no.
It was clearly a lower budget film, but I liked it, man. I had a fun time, and you despite the fact that much of it is not the way it really was. Like Donna Summer, when her and Giorgio Moroder made a song, it was an instant like hit. And Neil Bogart's part in this.
I mean, because I'm thinking about I Feel Love, I'm probably going to listen to that on repeat
so
on
the
drive
song
home.
is Love to Love You Baby, right?
Yeah.
And the whole thing is
Love to Love You Baby.
yeah. So they have it where he listens to it in his office, and he's like, "Yo, this is it. We need to make this happen." And then it's like unsuccessful for 2 years, and Giorgio Moroder like gives up on it. But he's like, "No, here's the deal," because he plays it at a party later on. He's like, "It's not long enough for people to enjoy themselves. We need to make the song longer." But really what happened is they released it, and then Neil Bogart played it at his party. He's like, "Hey, let's make the song 20 minutes long." So they made it 16 minutes long. Let's not get in
Just like 2 seconds. That's all we needed.
But the thing you do get to see is that they do create stars, and they do end up having success with bands like Kiss and Donna Summer, and they snake bands like the Isley Brothers from Motown. You don't get to see where like they lost 4 Tops to Motown or anything like that. But it's an interesting movie, and it's enjoyable, and the music's done well, and all of the actors that sing the songs do a good job. So if you like music or entertainment or history lessons that don't have to be 100% true, everyone loved Bohemian Rhapsody. This is better than that.
I like how all the movies that we're talking about tonight are like history lessons that aren't exactly true.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy.
This is better than Bohemian Rhapsody. It's not as good as like The Doors, but it's probably one of the better music biopics that I've seen as far as enjoyability goes, I think.
Okay.
So I liked it. It was a good time, and as someone who's a fan of pretty much everyone they brought in there, like how many times have you heard me listen to Parliament or like Isley Brothers or Kiss? I mean, we've been to Kiss concerts together. Like, this is the kind of music that I like. All of the artists that they focus on are the people that I listen to on a regular, if not daily basis. And even though I could pick out the things that weren't true, and all that, it didn't bother me enough to bring me out of the movie, and I had a good time with it. And seeing the character like Giorgio Moroder put on screen, he was played by Sebastian Maniscalco, like a comedian, but he didn't like chuck it up or anything, and there's a lot of SNL alumni in there too. You have Jay Farrow and Chris Redd and things like that are in it. It was good, man. If you get a chance to watch it, I recommend it.
Well, right on. Well, it is currently playing in theaters right here in Northwest Arkansas. I think it's playing in our Malco. If you're in our listening area, our zip code, I know a lot of you guys are listening or watching somewhere else, but you can check it out. It is in an expanded, limited/expanded release. So you can check that out there. Let's see. Any comments that we need to...
See, I made mention of Bohemian Rhapsody, and there's 2 different sides to it here.
Oh, 2 people. Yeah, there's some people love it, some people hate it. You can jump in our Twitch and be a part of that chat. This is a great time for a shameless plug. If you are listening to this on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, you can participate live. There's a chat here, and you can watch us. You can see what we look like. You can just follow us on Twitch, our Facebook, or our YouTube. Just go to the drive-in speakerbox.com. Like that's all you got to do. And there's lots of little options you can click on and like and subscribe. So there you go.
Vince, even though you feel like you're not the only one in NWA, man, you are. You're right here.
Yeah,
you're with us always.
You're here in NWA, and that's not true. I mean, if we're just going to do a little roll call, I know Movie Albert, and over on Twitch, he is not here in NWA. A Furious Apology, that's Australia. Some of our longtime listeners, Velvet Santa is not in Arkansas, but not NWA. So don't feel left out. It's okay. We're global, baby. All right. Well, anyway. Let's talk about Tetris, because we've still got some time here, and we're going to review this one. when I heard that this was going to be a movie, I was a little skeptical. But wow, did it kind of deliver? You know, you think, oh, how are they going to make a movie about Tetris? But not realizing, even though that I knew when I was like a young person playing Tetris, there was all these different versions of Tetris, right? And I never really thought about that. Nintendo had a version, you know, and then there was like different licenses and different whatevers of Tetris. And, you know, there wasn't a whole lot of games like that. It was either this, you know, Pac-Man is Pac-Man on all things. Tetris was always a little oddball. And this is kind of the story about why. And the only complaints I really have about this movie is some of the video game tonality that they try to take with this movie. Like, I didn't need to hear do 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 like the whole movie. Like, if you just pepper it in a little bit, but they remixed that Tetris theme like 1,000 times in this whole movie, and it was got a little awkward there. But this movie starts off very kind of over the top, very like happy-go-lucky exciting, which if you know anything about the story of Tetris, this is kind of a dark tale. Tetris, again, this game that managed to somehow become exported and get whisked through underneath the Iron Curtain, which was, you know, not very common. It never happened, and Tetris was kind of the first, you know. And at the end of the movie, they try to like go, well, Tetris is part of the reason that the Iron Curtain fell. And it's like, no, let's back up a little.
Yeah, because
bit.
there was all the players and they were lining up the bricks, and then it went,
yeah, and it boom.
Yeah.
But you know, it's as Velvet Santa on Twitch just said, the gaming historian made a great documentary about Tetris, and there is a really interesting story to be told here. And, you know, it is very much a story about industrial espionage. This is not a video game movie at all. They throw things at you, like they do some pixelated scenes and things like this to make you remind you of Tetris and video games. But honestly, if they had taken all of this out, that would have been this is a very serious movie about cloak and dagger, you know, Cold War industrial espionage. And a lot of this, I went back and I did some digging because I knew that the Tetris thing was a kind of a weird, rocky, you know, story. I had no idea how accurate this movie actually was. I mean, there was some stuff that they did leave out, like people getting beaten to death and people mysteriously disappearing. And they did cover one guy's just mysterious death in the end credits where they were like, here's a picture of the real person and this is what happened. But you have, you know, Taron Egerton like playing Hank Rogers, who is the guy that just kind of stumbled upon this game and just, you know, honey badger don't care, just grabbed onto this and was like not going to let it go. And he had this tiny little startup software company in Japan with his wife, and it was him wrestling with some of the titans of the industry, landing this deal, becoming friends with the creator of Tetris, Alexei Pajitnov, who they have been lifelong friends, and they're both still alive, I believe. Some of the people in the movie are not still alive, which was an interesting a little story plot twist. But you know, it's a story of like how hard sometimes things that we don't really realize, to us it's like, well, this is fun. Tetris is fun. And you don't realize that it was this close of having a blood-soaked like history of violence, greed, and, you know, international like just espionage. It's crazy. And they of course ham some stuff up, like there's a big car chase that I read that never happened, you know, it's like trying to escape Russia on a flight, and they're like, nah, it was actually a pretty uneventful flight. But they like ham it up for TV. But they were like, a lot of this stuff is intense, you know, getting beaten up and thrown in an interrogation room by KGB officers, and he's like, that all happened. That's like some real stuff. Like people's family were threatened and disappeared, you know, because of this video game. And you know, it is now known as one of the world's most successful video games ever. You know, there's new versions and all of this, and they turn it into kind of a really engaging story. You don't need to know anything about games. You don't need to know anything about Tetris specifically. And as Vince said, you know, they killed a lot of people and made it look like murder-suicide. And
did they put their bodies together?
and like little blocks, and then hope that if they lined them all up, they'd just disappear. They kind of leave a little bit of that stuff out, but they do allude to it. And that was one of the things, like I was speaking with in our Discord with, which you can join, with one of our viewers, Vince, and he was like, yeah, I just couldn't get into it at the beginning. I was like, well, go back. Wait till the end, because it does get serious, and that's I agree. I didn't like the tone of the first act of the movie was too happy and too Nintendo. But once you kind of get that out of the way and realize, like, once he goes to the USSR, all that fun goes out the door, and it's him almost losing his family. It's him, being kidnapped. It's this guy who created this game to give away for free, like being afraid for his life, and his dad got murdered because of, it's like a lot of crazy stuff that you're like, Tetris? For real though? And yeah, dude, the world's an insane place. And I love stories like this because, when you think about like conspiracy theory and all these tinfoil hat wearing people go, well, the government, blah, blah. You go, shut up, crazy. Here's an example of some of that crazy being reality, and if you think that people are willing to go through this many links to acquire rights to a game where blocks stack on each other, which means nothing in the global spectrum of things, just imagine all the shit that really happens. So yeah, it's kind of thought-provoking in that way, or maybe it's just me because, I don't trust no government. But anyway, Tetris, it's on Apple Plus. Unfortunately, I'm sorry for all of you guys that don't have Apple Plus. I don't have Apple Plus, but I was sent a screener, and
if you have Xbox Game Pass, you can get Peacock and Apple Plus for a couple of months for free as one of your perks.
Does it auto renew though?
I don't know how that works.
I hate those where like, try it free for like 4.5 weeks, but when it's over, we're gonna bill you $79.95, and we ain't gonna say nothing.
It's 3 months, so okay.
Just long enough for you to forget that you're about to pay for it. Yeah. Like I tried the YouTube, YouTube Live to get like live TV.
Oh yeah.
And I tried it for a little while. It's like, try it for 7 days for free, and then it's $79.99. And then I canceled it this week before it renewed again. And they're like, are you sure? We'll give you HD for free for 3 weeks. I'm like, nope, don't want it. But anyway, Vince over on Twitch says Apple Plus is a great service for a cheap price, and I hate Apple as a company. So do I.
Yeah, we do too. But a lot of movies are being made on
and some good series.
Apple, yeah.
So anyway, Tetris the movie, it's out. You can check it out. I think that movie could have survived in theaters. I really do. It was well made. There were a few wonky green screen shots, predominantly of them like driving through Russian streets, and it kind of felt a little weird.
That's like the one I watched. There's a weird one where they're at the horse track, and you can tell that they're not really outside. Every outside shot you could tell was a sound studio shot, but...
Well, there you go. Well, all right. Well, lots of historical drama comedies that we reviewed tonight. Kind of odd, the theme of the evening. But now it's time to talk about box office. We've got about 5 minutes left in the show. We like to use the last bit of the show to tell you the box office roundup for the last week. This last week was March 31st through April 2nd, 2023. And we give you domestic numbers only because these are the numbers that studios look at mostly when they're determining what gets greenlight, what gets a sequel, what is quote-unquote successful. Even if it makes money overseas, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a success here in the States. So, we're going to go through the top 10, move it to number 1. Jake's going to take over and tell us what made money.
Well, actually, I'm going to say number 11, Avatar Way of Water, 16 weeks out. It still made almost $1 million last week.
It's wild.
873 brought in by Avatar. So, but doing the top 10, Jesus Revolution in its 6th week out brought in just barely over $1 million. Its domestic total just shy of 51.
Doing good, though.
Yeah, I mean, not bad for a movie that probably no one even knows what it is.
Didn't have much of a budget.
And then number 9 in its 7th week out, barely hanging in that top 10. Disney can't be happy. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania brought in 1.2. Its domestic total is 212. Not the kind of numbers Disney is used to seeing.
472 million worldwide.
Under half a billion.
What a pile of trash.
Garbage. Absolute garbage. And then coming in at number 8, and it's 4th week out. I didn't realize this movie's been out that long. 65, $1.5 million brought in for it.
Did I not give it like a 30-second review last week at the end going, oh, yeah, that's right, I did watch it.
Yeah, Dinosaurs is dumb. It has domestic total of 30.5 million. And then opening at number 7 from Focus, 1,001.
Which is playing here. At Malco.
Is it?
Which is it's in less than 1,000 theaters, but is playing here.
1.8 million brought in this past week for its single weekend out so far. So I don't know where it'll go, but there you go. And then in its 3rd week, sitting under halfway on the list, number 6, Shazam: Fury of the Gods, 4.6 million. It's only brought in $53.5 million. Zachary Levi has been losing his mind online, and everyone has started to get really tickled about it.
I've read some things that saying his freakouts are better than watching the movie.
Yeah, and I saw a thing that said that The Rock, and him blaming The Rock online for the lack of success of Shazam and everything is the Shazam and Black Adam fight that we should have had in the movies. Yeah. But yeah, keep an eye on that for Zachary Levi having a bad time. And then number 5, Creed 3, in its 5th week out, brought in $5 million. 555 Creed 3's doing it. 148.6 million for Creed 3.
That's a knockout.
Yeah, I saw a thing earlier that Michael B. Jordan was talking about the next one, the sequel about his about Creed's daughter, set 10 years in the future from Creed 3.
Cool,
please,
dude.
Please don't. Then number 4, in its 4th week out, Scream 6, $5.3 million. Its domestic intake has been just under 100 million, 98.2. Pretty good for a horror movie.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get another one.
And then also an opening weekend for the number 3 movie, His Only Son, Super Religion Time, $5.5 million brought in by that one.
Wow.
It's pretty wild to see something like that beat out big movies like Scream, Creed, Shazam, Ant-Man, Avatar.
Vincent Twitch, he asked, is it just me or have there been more religious movies lately? No, there are a lot more, and it's kind of a weird,
cheap to make, guaranteed money.
Yeah, it's weird.
But then coming in at number 2 in its 2nd week out,
Violence always beating Christianity.
John Wick number 4 brought in 28.3 million. Its domestic is 123.
But its worldwide is 245. I did read that it is now the most profitable R-rated movie, which surpassed Bad Boys, I think.
More than Deadpool?
That's something. I was reading about that. It was here we go. Not Topo widest releases. There's rated R. Something about rated R, and it's like beating them. And Deadpool is total gross 363 million, and we've got John Wick Chapter 4, 245. But opening weekend was the biggest that it is. So it's on track to beat Deadpool. So it's wild. I don't know.
And then rounding out the top 10, number 1 in its official first week of release, Dungeons & Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves brought in $37.2 million. Wow. It brought in $9 million more than John Wick. So, but you know what's wild? They have its money brought in as only what it brought in this past week.
Yeah, even
not what it's made in the last 2 weeks with its
limited releases. I don't know. It's kind of strange. I don't know where'd that money go.
Where'd my money go?
Did Amazon?
Also, nerds. Why was there no D20 popcorn buckets for me to get? Why did it sell out in like half an hour?
I know. We didn't get to get our D20 popcorn bucket. That's sad. We wanted it. We were going to get the popcorn bucket. Add it to the hoard, our treasure trove, our dragon's cave of movie memorabilia here that we have in the Drive-In Speaker Box studio. It's a bummer. Now they're probably going to be on like eBay for like $100 billion, and we're not going to do that. If one of you wants to do that and send it to us, we won't argue.
But I was very upset when I went in. They said they were sold out. So
Velvet Santa says, I can check the theater here in Little Rock if you want. Yes, please. I will Venmo you gladly for that popcorn bucket. So, but Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves doing pretty well. It did another, I think it did $33 million in the global market. So it's still not like, I think it had a $150 million budget, so pretty big budget that it's got to catch up on, but the reviews are good and people are saying that it's good.
I think as more people watch it and tell other people that it's fun, you'll see that one stay up there or get like a resurgence in it and stuff. Because what do we have? Mario's probably going to be number one next week.
Mario's guaranteed to be number one.
Because you got nostalgia and you got people taking their kids.
There's not
kids with their kids.
There's not a lot of PG movies right now. I mean, Shazam, and people don't want to take their kids there. Everything else is not a kids movie. So I think, Super Mario is just going to just dominate. He's going to be mushroom and a star and a flower and a tanuki suit, and it's just going to come in.
There's no way there's going to be a tanuki suit in it.
No, I'm just saying that's the power that it's going to have. It's going to come and hit the box office with all these power-ups.
Just tanuki suit tail.
There'll be a feather or the
leaf,
the raccoon.
Yeah, the feather got you the super cape and super.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll have all that bullshit. But anyway, that is your box office roundup. Vince says on eBay the popcorn buckets range from $65 to $200.
They were already $35 at the theater. I mean, come on, man.
Good grief! It's just you could get a ceramic D20 popcorn bucket for like $50.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, just memorabilia is insane. Nerds, you freaking nerds.
Man, I was really hoping you went during the day, like you said you were going to, and nabbed us one because I got there at like 6 or 7. 7.
I should have. I was gonna.
And they were like, they're all gone. The nerds next door bought them. I was like, nerds.
Dadgum.
Dude, I was straight up ogre from Revenge of the Nerds.
And then you become one, which he did in part 2.
Yeah, that's why that's not a good movie.
No, it's a great movie because it has the song, the boop 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 boop.
That's in the first one.
Boop, boop. That's in the first one.
That's in the first one.
What's the song in the second one where they're like in that jungle town?
Yeah, the second one they're on that dumb island.
No, it's great. That one's super good, and they get the duck, and then they ride the duck into the pool, and then like Booger's there and has like a gun, and that one's badass.
Hey.
A lot more bikinis in that one.
Yeah, well, the first one has sexual assault, so that's not cool.
Yeah, not cool.
Nerds aren't cool. A nerd perpetrated that.
Yeah, it was not cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Well, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to find us on our Discord if you want to participate in other chats throughout the week when we're not here live in the studio. You can do that. There is a link right there in the chat. Vince over on Twitch just threw that up. You can always like and subscribe on many of our channels. We like Twitch because it's the one that gives us money. YouTube and Facebook Live are also options, or you could just download the audio version of this wherever it is you download podcasts, and you can keep up to date, and feel free to suggest things and send us messages on Discord, and have a great life. Furious Apology says, cheers guys, have a good one. Right back at you, and we will see you guys next week. And what do we got? Are you gonna go see Super Mario? What are you gonna?
Yeah, maybe. I want to see Paint.
Yeah, I want to see Paint too.
And I have some Indian movies to watch if we still can keep some of them.
So yeah, tune in next week for a 73-hour long episode of the Drive-In Speaker Box. So anyway, I'm Bo the Boom Operator.
I'm Slick Doggy the Grip.
And we'll see you guys next week.
As you leave the theater, folks, please be careful. Don't let this happen to your car. Be sure to remove the speaker before you leave. If you should accidentally pull a speaker loose, please turn it in at our snack bar or box office. Thank you.